2 years ago, I reviewed the Citizen Tsuyosa in 40mm, and in that video, I said that I liked the watch, but there were several aspects that felt underwhelming, and if fixed, could make a great watch. And the reaction to that video? Well, let's just say that the Citizen fan club wasn't thrilled with me. But guess what? Just last week, Citizen released an updated, more compact 37mm Tsuyosa, and I bought it immediately. Now after seeing this watch in the flesh and wearing it for a few days, has the Japanese watchmaker finally won me over? Not quite. In fact, I still feel that this watch is disappointing. And the frustrating part? With just a few changes, it could have been so much better. In this video, I'll talk about the good, the meh, and the ugly, and why I feel underwhelmed, again, by the Tsuyosa. Before I start, I want to say that my criticism comes from a place of love. A Citizen chronograph was my high school graduation gift and my first decent watch, and I wore that watch exclusively for like 10 years. So I love Citizen and I want them to succeed. So it's disappointing for me to see them make a decent watch, but just fail to hit the mark. That said, if you think I'm wrong, roast me in the comments. I promise I'll read them while crying into my pillow. Anyway, this watch isn't all bad. It does get a lot of things right. First, the updated size is just amazing. 37mm is the Goldilocks size for many, including me. So this watch measuring 37mm by 42mm is a welcome change over the larger model. As you can see, the watch looks great on my 6-inch wrist, much better than the 40mm, which felt a little big for me. The second positive is that the watch looks really good, with a caveat that I'll get to later. There are 3 dial options here, and this green dial with the integrated case and president-style bracelet gives the timepiece a pretty classy look. I think the watch manages to look both elegant yet sporty. From afar, this thing looks like it costs closer to $1,000 rather than $500. I think you'll get a lot of compliments on the watch from casual onlookers. The next thing I like is the 5-year warranty Citizen offers with this watch. I can't think of any other brand that offers more than 3 years in this price range. Tissot, for comparison, offers a 2-year warranty on the PRX. So this is great from Citizen, really impressive. At $450 and probably cheaper with discounts, this is one of the more affordable integrated bracelet watches out there. If you're on a budget, that's a big win. Now let's talk about the meh, aka things I can tolerate but wish were better. The first is that despite the short lug-to-lug distance, the watch does wear pretty chunky thanks to the 12mm thickness. While it doesn't look bad necessarily, I do notice the watch sitting a little tall for my liking. Now this thickness is due to Citizen's in-house Miyota 8210 used here. This automatic Japanese movement is a decent budget option, but I can't lie, I don't like it. It's a simple entry-level caliber beating at 3Hz with a power reserve of 42 hours. It does feature hacking seconds and a date complication, but it's too thick for my taste. A 9000 series Miyota movement would have been slimmer, more accurate, and run at 4Hz, giving the seconds hand a smoother sweep. All this while costing Citizen less than $20 to $25 more per watch. Remember, Miyota is owned by Citizen, so they definitely have access to premium calibers relatively easily. And I would have definitely paid a little more to see a slimmer, more elegant movement in the watch. The next 2 features that are okay are the 50 meters water resistance and decent lume on the watch. So you don't have to worry about getting the watch wet, but don't take it for a swim. The lume is more than decent, but fades rather quickly. Next up, the design. And despite what some people may say, this build is clearly not original. The dial is a mishmash of the Rolex Oyster Perpetual and Datejust. The case has the silhouette of a Tissot PRX with the bracelet resembling the presidential from the Rolex Day-Date. But then again, 90% of watches today don't have an original design. And this doesn't matter much to the casual watch buyer anyway. And personally, I'm okay with homages. Isn't imitation the most sincere form of flattery? Just don't claim that the watch looks unique. In fact, the only unique aspect of this watch is the crown placement at 4 o'clock. This placement makes the watch appear more symmetrical, but makes the crown operation difficult. Again, something I can live with. Now the ugly. Remember the caveat I mentioned when saying this watch looks good? That's because while the watch does appear beautiful from afar, take a closer look and the Tsuyosa starts showing its price. Up close, the watch doesn't feel as premium. The dial doesn't look as radiant, the second hand feels too jittery thanks to the 3Hz beat rate, and even the Cyclops doesn't look refined. If you see the Rolex Cyclops, you can see it crisp and clear. Here the Cyclops just doesn't look as clean and the date window below looks hazy. The crown operation isn't smooth and feels stuttery. And I had the same opinion on the 40mm Tsuyosa. Perhaps that criticism wasn't fair because that watch cost just around $300 when I bought it. But at a 50% higher price, 2 years down the line, I expected the build quality to improve. But unfortunately, I don't see that here. The second is that the wearing experience isn't very enjoyable for me. First, the Tsuyosa wears pretty chunky due to the short lug-to-lug combined with a relatively stubby case. And due to the shape of the lugs, the watch wears weird on my wrist, leaving these odd gaps on either sides. It's a weird feeling that I don't like. But to be honest, I could have gotten used to it. What I find harder to get used to is the bracelet. The president style bracelet isn't the most comfortable out there. While it isn't terrible, I did experience some hair pulling and irritation. Again, not a big issue in itself, and I can look past it. And just as I look past the bracelet, I'm reminded that the pressed clasp feels flimsy and cheap and does not have any on-the-fly micro adjust. Again, something I can overlook at this price. So you can ignore even that. But then you get hit with the rattly feel of the bracelet. The whole bracelet feels cheaply built and jangly. I know my perspective is skewed because I'm a privileged bitch who spends too much time around watches. But for that reason, I end up noticing all these shortcomings. And all these small details add up, making the overall experience not so fun. They may not be big deals to some, but they are definitely noticeable and annoying to me personally. Citizen also used the pin and collar system in the bracelet. That means you literally have to use a hammer if adding or removing links. This is great for brands because it's cheap, but it's inconvenient as hell for us. Screwed in links should be standard. And just overall, the watch doesn't feel premium. As I said earlier, the finishing isn't great and the watch has a light feel in the hand. It just doesn't feel solid. Again, I understand that I'm in a privileged position to even say such a thing, but it is what it is. The Tsuyosa feels like Citizen just skimped on the finishing and build quality costs and also used a cheaper movement on the inside for some extra cost savings. In conclusion, this watch is pretty much the same as the 40mm other than the dimensions. The smaller size is definitely a welcome change. The compact proportions make the watch more accessible to so many more people, and visually it feels more balanced than the 40mm. But the complete package is lackluster. Now to be perfectly clear, this watch isn't bad to be honest. In fact, I'd even say it's a good watch for the casual watch buyer. If you just want a good looking mechanical watch, just a quick purchase without necessarily getting into the depths of horology. And 90% of the watch buying public is like this. And that's totally fine. They are normal, sane people. But if you're watching this video, I assume you're into watches. For an enthusiast like yourself, I think the Tsuyosa has some significant flaws to consider. I know some of the things I mentioned won't matter to some, but I personally can't recommend this watch to most enthusiasts. At this price, there are better options available. The Tissot PRX Quartz at $50 less gives you a better finished watch with a more comfortable bracelet and a good entry point into Swiss watches too. Spend a little bit more and you can pick up a Laurier Neptune, which is a better watch in all aspects. There are plenty of other options also in the market in 2025 and I've featured some of these on the channel. If you're in the market for a $500-ish watch, I recommend doing some research to find the best option to fit your needs. That's all from me today. Let me know if you disagree or disagree with me. Let's have a pointless argument in the comments because that's what YouTube is for. If you want to watch a less controversial video, check this one out. Thanks for watching. Take care.